Hello there, nieces and nephews. This is JoJo, and I'm going to show you why it's more efficient to have a boiler to two steam engines than it is to have a boiler to six steam engines. One of the questions that somebody had asked in one of the shorts was, why is it more efficient? Well, I'm going to show you. It's not that big of a deal when you're dealing with low amounts of power. When you're dealing with more amounts of power, that's when you want to have a more efficient setup uh, for coal versus water versus steam uh, to this setup over here. This is what we typically do. This setup right here is what I would say 99.9% of new players in Factorio, this is what they'll do. They'll set up a couple of boilers, which is not bad, by the way. Just let me throw this out there. If you were to set it up this way, you would look and see that it produces 10.8 megawatts of power, right? And if I go over here to this other setup, which is considered a less efficient setup, and I click on that, that's still 10.8 megawatts of power. Here is where the big difference is the timing it takes to produce a certain amount of power uh, on the same amount of coal, right? We have, depending on how difficult you play a game, um, resources are scarce in a lot of cases, and this is where we run into the issue is the long-term power association. So what we're gonna do is I'm gonna run this test here for you, and I don't have the timer, but I guess what you can do is just watch the time on the video here. But we're gonna start the timer right here. I'm gonna add a power pole down, and we're gonna see how long it takes for this side to charge all of these accumulators using this more efficient setup over here. And we'll do that in three, two, and one. Passing about 10 seconds now. 20 seconds. About 28 seconds, give or take. Okay? So 28 seconds to fill all of these. Same amount as is over here. Okay, so here we go. Same amount of steam engines, less amount of boilers. Here we go. Reset. Three, two, one, start. Passing 10 seconds. 20, 30, 40. So about 40 seconds versus the 27 seconds that it takes for this side to do it. Now, why this matters, I guess you could say, is that this setup here is going to use far more coal than this setup will. Um, I take into account that you may not have the resources to set it up this way, but you don't have to set up as many initially. Okay, we could do it with less and be just as efficient as this side. Um, it's not a matter of it's not a matter of early on. It's a matter of long term. So you want to get as much out of your resources as you can, and you don't want to burn up a bunch of resources to produce the same amount of power. And that's why the efficiency really matters. Hopefully that explains it for you. Is the time difference between the two? Um, I, I'll admit that early on when I was doing the testing of all this, I was like, well, crap, why is it more efficient? And I had to ask, my other friends, that have far more hours in this game than I do, and I had to ask them, why is it more efficient? And they said, well, just set it up and test it. And I did, and I was like, I don't see a difference. They said, well, you're not testing it long enough, so test it for a minute total. And I did, and here we are. So yeah, it is more efficient to set it up this way than it is to set it up this way. Hopefully that helps you there, nieces and nephews. I I don't know. But if you have any questions or there's anybody smarter out there that could tell me that I'm doing this wrong, I'm all ears. But you know, it is what it is. So thank you for watching. We'll see you next time.